welcome everyone. So excited for you to join us for this evening's webinar. I'm so excited to welcome Coach Brent Nelson, who's joining us from Iowa Central Community College. This has been on my list of things to do forever because I love the idea of having as many options as possible for high school rugby players to look forward to continue to study and also to continue to play. I do know that there's lots of misconceptions about specifically Iowa Central. So I'd love that having Coach Nelson's going to be here. You can hear it straight from him, what it's like, what the program's about, and all those sorts of things. And then also in general, I think just about what it's like to be a student at a community college like Iowa Central and what it is and also what it isn't. Because I think a lot of students and families go into this with maybe the wrong idea of what that's about. So thank you so much for being here. And maybe I will just throw it over to you, Coach Nelson, to maybe give us a brief overview or kind of give us a little bit more about, the school, about the program, and we can start from there.
Yeah, well, thanks, Karen. It really has been exciting to get in contact with you and be a part of this process of getting our name out there and things. I think that we have been kind of building something for a few years now. The program I actually started the program here with just kids from campus in 2015. And by the spring of 2016, we'd had some success in sevens. And then our first official year with 15s in that fall was 2016. And we've been kind of growing and moving onward and upward ever since then. I actually don't have like the greatest pedigree, like I'm not a former Eagle or anything like that, but what I am is very passionate about opportunities for young people. And when I saw that there was a glaring need for young people to go into the trades or that didn't have the opportunity, or maybe their academic house needed to get in order, there was really nowhere for them to go other than men's club. And so I proposed the idea of, a junior college rugby program. And our administration was really on board with that. It was, the World Cup, 2015 World Cup, the Olympics, 2016 sevens was coming around. Iowa only plays sevens, but there was 32 teams by then in Iowa that had sevens programs. So I sold the administration on that kind of swell of that time, and they really kind of bought into it, and they were like, well, let's see where this can go. And it's been great ever since. I think that one of the things that I will say is Iowa Central's administration is immensely supportive of what we're doing, and that is the key to any small college rugby program. Is you're only going to be as good as your administration allows you to be. And we're very well funded. We're very well supported, and not just, on campus, but also in our community as well. So this is exciting times for us.
Great. Can you give us, for the families that are watching, if they, what is a day in the life or a week or a year, as a player, what does that look like for those players?
Yeah, so it's a high performance environment. Our expectations are that of a professionally run program. I'm very proud and honored to have been put in contact with Coach Billups early on in the startup of this program, and he had some amazing advice for me. I was able to ask him questions, and he was very frank with me about running a program, not just having a rugby club. And so it's a professional environment. We'd like to think so that there's classes that happen throughout the day from 8 to 3. Our practice is at 3:30 in the afternoon, so we avoid like being overlapping with classes and things like that. So we go 3:30 to 5:30. We have a strength and conditioning coach and a student athlete only weight room. We lift twice a week as a team during season. We have film sessions at night with team. We probably will do one maybe 2 a week, if we're lucky, but maybe 1 a week. And then we have individual film sessions. One of our assistant coaches is kind of a film guru kind of guy, and he'll come in and he's kind of at everyone's beck and call. And so guys will schedule film sessions with him and they'll break down film. Friday's typically a captain's run or it's a travel day because we are, in the middle of nowhere. We travel to play good rugby. And then Saturday's a rugby day and we'll rest Sunday. That's typically our fall season. Obviously, it's a little bit different in the spring when we're doing sevens. We're considered off season. We're in the weight room a little bit more. The sevens guys are doing different things than the 15s guys, things like that. So, yeah. But that's pretty typical, like life in the day and life in the week of Iowa Central Rugby.
Yeah. Can you, either you can speak about it or I can, but for those families that actually maybe know a lot about maybe a traditional 4-year college path, what does it look like to go to a 2-year school, or anything you notice about that you want to share? And I can share a little bit too, but what do you think?
Yeah. I think maybe I'll go first and then you can fill in the blanks, but it's, I get this where, it's, people like to say it's different. Well, it's the Higher Learning Commission accredits our college. We have to go to class, we have to learn, we have to study, we have to, do all the things that a 4-year school does. We do have trade programs, but there's also the pathway of, kids come in and they'll go 2 years, they'll get an associate's degree, and then they move on to a 4-year school. So it's really not that much different as far as the school part goes. They go to class and learn and read books and arithmetic and all that kind of stuff. And, they do pretty normal student stuff. This is a campus as well that has a 4-year feel to it. And anybody can go on, I'll type the website on here, but the campus looks and feels like a 4-year school campus. We have 1,200 students that live on campus. Approximately 800 to 900 of them are athletes, because we do have 32, I think now, sports programs with women's wrestling coming on board. But many of them are here on campus, and we do have some commuters that come in and people that live off campus as well. But 1,200 live on campus, and it's really like a 4-year feel. So it's pretty remarkable. I'm going to type go ahead and fill in the blanks here for me. And then I'm going to type the website in here, and people can kind of go on a virtual tour if they want.
So something I wanted to share, if you haven't looked, so one of the wonderful things about Iowa Central that I've sent students to specifically is, if you're a student that knows they want a specific diploma, they want an AA. Like there was one student I had who right here wanted fire science. And fire science is not usually a 4-year degree. If you want to be a firefighter, does it make sense to go spend 4 years getting an anthropology degree when you already know this is what you want to do? But they always have, a little bit more on the some opportunities on the trade side, right? So you definitely have more things you wouldn't see maybe at a traditional school. Like you have a culinary arts diploma, you have dental hygiene, health and beauty. And these are all things that I think, for a lot of students, they may not continue to a 4-year college because they're thinking, none of these majors are interesting to me. And honestly, it doesn't make sense to go spend $200,000 to study something you don't really want to do. So I think sometimes for a lot of students, getting that AA is number one. If it's in something you want to do, you're obviously going to be, the chances of you being successful are going to be great. And then also you can always finish that 2-year, and let's say you knock it out of the park. You're like, look, I got my AA in this, and actually I want to continue and get my bachelor's in nursing, and you can then transfer somewhere else and finish out that degree. So I think it's a good place for a number of different reasons. Obviously, the biggest one too is the cost factor. I just mentioned, there are some families out there that I think are, lucky enough that maybe a $200,000 investment is fine. For others, that's not. And I think from an accessibility standpoint, knowing that you have an option to play at a really high level and either start your college pathway, or if this is the pathway, this is another option. So you can always look up more stuff. And when I send the follow-up email, I'll send some more information about what an associate's is. Usually you move up from an AA to then a bachelor. So a Bachelor of Arts or a Bachelor of Science, that's what you would get from a 4-year. And after that is when you would move into like a master's program. So it's kind of like a bit of a, I guess I would say, stepping stone.
Sure.
Although obviously a lot of folks, the AA is what you need if you're gonna, be a plumber or an electrician, and those, by the way, make lots and lots of money. It's a wonderful area to get into right now. I swear to God, that it's well worth taking a look at.
They make more money than college rugby coaches for sure. But no, to some of those points, Karen, I actually am a product of Iowa Central myself. Many years ago, I played college basketball. I know it's funny when people meet me, they're like, no, but I was actually a college basketball player. I took my AA degree and transferred on to a small private school in Iowa by the name of Wartburg College. It's a Division III school, and it's a private school, and it's rather expensive. Back then it wasn't as much, but it has grown into one of those schools that's very expensive. And so I, being a product of Iowa Central myself, I can speak to the students that want to come, save a lot of money, and then take that AA degree and then transfer on to a 4-year school. The other great thing about that is that a lot of the 4-year schools are recruiting from us. So we've sent a number of young men to places like Lindenwood, Life, Central Washington, Arkansas State. I'm really kind of hoping that TUI gets one of our young men who's really bright young man who really could have gotten into any school, but wanted to save a lot of money. He's like a 4.0 student and is hopefully going to go to St. Bonaventure. And I'm really excited for him and that opportunity to go there and build that relationship with TUI and try to get one of our young men there. Davenport is recruiting very heavily with us. So we built, relationships with a lot of 4-year schools that if young people want to go on to a 4-year school, that's something that they can do, save a lot of money in their first 2 years and then move on. But then we also have some young men who are trade program guys. One of our best players, one of my favorite players, actually, I'm not afraid to say it. He was one of the hardest working young men I've ever been around, who's from Iowa, got an HVAC degree and then stuck around for a 3rd year and got an industrial mechanics degree. And so he'll be draft eligible. And we're really hoping that somebody takes a chance on him and drafts him right out of Iowa Central with a, basically trade program. So we're really excited for that.
Great. So I know on this call today, we have some, we have some juniors, you might even have some seniors that watch this or even younger. What is the process? Do students just, because this is from my learning as well. Normally I know the process for 4-year university where you're applying a year ahead and you're waiting until around this time to find out for the following fall. How do they get in touch with you? What's the best way? How are you, do you have a limited roster? Do you cut? I guess give us kind of as many details as you can about how that process works so students don't, get too confused about the process or anything like that.
Right. That's a lot there. So,
I know, sorry.
If I forget anything, just throw it at me, whatever, that's fine. But
okay.
We are in an open enrollment, like a place where we are 100% acceptance. We are for anybody literally who wants to go to college here and earn a degree or get college credit. But as far as the process goes, it's not unlike really anyone else. There may be some stipulations at other places because there is a vetting process, more so at another school. Like, for example, I know Todd up in Central Washington, they only really carry 35 kids and they'll have cuts and things like that, right? So we don't do that. I want to give anybody the opportunity to be a part of a team. We play an A side and B side matches typically every week. Sometimes we'll play like on a Wednesday night to get B side matches in. So we're really about the development process and getting kids opportunities as much as they can play and learn in 2 years here. And then hopefully that carries on to whatever level they want to play. If they want to go just men's club or they go to, you know, a Central Washington or a Lindenwood or something like that, whatever, you know, or maybe even to the draft eventually. Yeah, so I'm fairly informal. Now we do have on the website, if you get to the drop downs where it goes to the rugby page.
This, right?
Yep.
Do you
So
go here?
Yep, the recruit me right there. If you click that, then they can fill that out, and then it gets sent to me, and I will reach out personally to anybody that wants to fill that out. I literally have no problem with putting my cell phone out there, and I'm really a very personal guy too.
Here's your stuff. There's
Yeah.
your info right there.
Yeah. I tell them to leave that picture up because I'm much thinner there. So, but that's actually my office phone. I'm going to type my cell phone on there, and anybody can have it. That's fine. And I will text people and parents and whoever they can call. I'm pretty good about getting back to people immediately. And so, you know, that part of the process, as far as the recruiting goes, is fairly informal. We do invite people to get on campus because of that stigma of a JUCO and what it looks like, what it feels like. I will tell you, we are not Last Chance U. You know, there's some really nice apartment style living on campus, and it's a really nice campus. Like I said, there's 1,200 kids that live on campus, but there's like about 4,000 that will attend like any given day because of the commuters and, you know, et cetera. So, you know, as far as that recruiting process goes, you know, I'll be out going to as many events as I can. I just got back from Florida last night at like 3 a.m. But, you know, I was down there. I saw some, you know, great rugby match on Saturday. I went to a few practices at some different places. You know, I see some of the guys, you know, like Wisconsin, Mr. Getch, you know, we've been at combines, we've been at practices or tryouts for select sides. You know, we have 3 paid coaches here, which is phenomenal. There's not probably 5 programs in the country that could say that they have 5 paid coaches on their staff, at least in the men's programs. 2 full-time and 1 part-time, but he works full-time hours. So when Hamish listens to this, he'll get a kick out of that. But yeah, we're going to be out, you know, we'll go to Iowa, Wisconsin, Minnesota, you know, kind of, you know, stay fairly local, but then we'll be out. I'm going to do a tour out through Indiana, Illinois, Ohio, out that way. Probably go back down to Florida. We're going to go to NAI sevens. I'm going to take a trip out to Colorado. There's some recruits. I'm probably going to make it out to California as well. So, you know, we're going to be out recruiting, you know, all over the country really. We're excited about, you know, bringing some of the guys in. I know the juniors, that's, you know, probably the best time to start the recruiting process. You know, for us, I think, you know, maybe sophomore or freshman, it maybe gets a little early, but absolutely we will talk to them and be there, you know, to answer questions about what they're looking for, especially if it's a trade program or whatnot. But yeah, so I think I covered everything, but I'm not really sure.
I mean, I think I would just mention that, you know, so let's say you just mentioned that they're rolling admission and application. So that means, you know, if you are a senior and it's, you know, spring and you're not quite sure what your next steps are, you can apply literally up until the first day of school. And I would, you know, recommend going through that application process. It is and I haven't been through the Iowa Central application, but if it's like other junior college applications, it's not like a 4-year where you're writing 5 different essays and you're, kind of, doing a bunch of stuff. It's really, making sure that they're going to see what your profile looks like. You probably will have to submit a high school transcript. Typically it's test optional, and most schools are test optional now anyway. The only, and I would double check if you're planning to apply, if you're unsure about your profile, I would contact their admissions office and check. I know in the past I've had students that maybe they're graduating, but the GPA is fairly low. Some schools might require a certain test to make sure that you are you're capable, and you're going to be successful. They don't, even though I know you're saying that they accept 100%, at the same time, I'm sure that they want to make sure that you're coming in prepared. So it might mean some things with students of mine in the past that have gone this route. Sometimes it might mean if you don't have certain grades or classes you took in high school, they might require you have to take a college level writing course. And then that would just ensure that you're successful in the rest of the classes you take, things like that. But if you're unsure, the admissions officers at Iowa Central, I'm sure are happy to take a call from you, or have a Zoom and kind of talk through, this is your high school profile. These are the classes you've taken, and if there's anything that needs to be done, then they can at least give you advice about that.
Well, let me add to that, and I will just kind of say this. First of all, about the program, you have to be about the school. You can't just come here and play rugby and blow off school and things like that. I have expectations, academic expectations, that if, and I tell this to anybody that I'm recruiting, that this has to be about your school first and about your education first, not about rugby first. I know that's why people come to schools, is for that rugby, they recruited, whatever. But there are some people that are like, well, they really have my major and that's the thing or whatever. It has to be about that. Because you have to have a certain GPA, you have to attend classes. If you're not doing that, rugby gets suspended. And so I do want people to understand that we do take the academic part of this process, that's the student athlete part, very seriously. This is not, like I said, this is not just, we don't just blow off education because we're 100% acceptance. The thing about that is that, yes, we have what we call mandatory placing. And so we use either the ACT, SAT score or the ALEX test, which you can do on campus as well when you get here. And we come about 10 to 14 days before school starts. So they have that opportunity to get some of those things done if they have not, or they can be proctored, et cetera. But we do have that mandatory placing. So yes, like you alluded to, there is some element to, you have to have some things accomplished before you get here. Yeah. Right. So, we're going to look at all of those things as well. Yeah.
Well, and something I've said in a previous webinar too, is the idea that there are, as a student athlete, and you're thinking about this next step of going to a varsity level program, a high performance program, is do you actually want to live this life, or do you want to just look like you do? Is it like, oh, I want to be able to like post this on my social media and have people think a certain thing about me, or do you actually just want to live it? Like, you want to get up every single day and go to classes, and then also go to trainings, and then also go to film and do all sorts of things. It's a lot of hard work, and it's not like let's blow off school, or if I just skip practice because I wanted to, binge a Netflix show. Like, that's not happening. The students that make it to their goals and play Major League Rugby or whatever, that's not luck. That's a lot of hard work, that went into that.
I call them the blessed to receive my offer guys, right? So there's a lot of guys out there that are like, all about like how many offers they can get, et cetera. And then they get here and it's like, it's not about that shine. And one of your questions was, is there anything that you kind of look at that kind of turns us off a little bit about that? And that's kind of one of them, is like, if you're all about the shine and whatever, you tend to not be as successful, because it is a grind. when you're a college athlete, I don't care if you're at D3 or JUCO or D1, football, basketball, rugby, doesn't matter. A lot of your free time is spent doing your sport and preparing and, spending time, in the weight room and study table and mandatory this and, et cetera. You can't just be about the shine and come to any school and expect to be successful, because you're gonna that whole shine is gonna dimmer really quick when you're having to get up early or stay late or do different things, and practice is tough and you've got a test tomorrow, but you're supposed to be at practice as well. That shine goes away real quick.
Yeah.
So you got to prepare yourself mentally for that.
Yeah. You mentioned you're going to be kind of touring around and getting a chance to maybe see some players at tournaments and things like that. When you're actually at these tournaments, can you share what are some things you're looking for? I mean, obviously it's easy to say like, oh, I'm looking for a great rugby player, but like, what does that mean? Or are there certain things you look at that maybe players and parents and coaches aren't even aware of?
Well, this is a really honest answer. Okay. So I'm going to think about if I'm going to like you or not. Okay. So like, I know that maybe sounds a little bit like arrogant, but like, this is a relationship. Okay. So when you come here, we are going to interact with each other quite a bit. And I want to know that I'm going to like people, and I want them to know if they're going to like me, because not everybody is going to, and that's okay. That's just human nature. And that's fine. Now I expect, people fall in line and they have expectations of me and vice versa, whatever. So are they personable? Do they look you in the eye when you talk to them? Are they on their phone when you talk to them?
Mm.
How are they with their teammates? That's massive. Like, are they good teammates? Is there some kid that's kind of sulking because he made a mistake, and our guy that we're recruiting goes over and tries to help him pick his chin up, that kind of thing? Is the kid engaged with, the coaching staff? Is he like thinking like, hey, how can I, what can we do? He wants to be coached up? Or is he somebody that's not listening to his coaches? Is he just kind of doing his own thing? There's a lot of things that we look for as coaches. And I think any coach really would say the same. That has nothing to do with rugby. I tell my guys, be the best at the stuff that doesn't take any talent. Be the best at stuff that doesn't take any talent. And if you come and show up daily for the grind, you're going to be massively successful. You're already ahead of it. So if you're on time, if you have a good attitude, if you're coachable, those things take no talent at all, right?
Yeah.
And so if you're the best at that, you're already ahead of the game. The rugby part's going to come. All right. If you just trust that process, it's going to come. But if you show up daily for all of those things and get that done, that is key. So when I'm out recruiting, I actually look at a lot of things like in between plays. Are they talking to players, things like that? I actually, whether it's film or in person, I will look at how someone handles a mistake. Are they going to sulk? Are they really mad at themselves, so it takes their head out of the game? Or are they kind of just like able to move on and carry on? All those things. So those are great things. Of course, like you look for rugby skill and things like that, but that's easy. That's too easy of an answer. Right?
And this is like, let's just say, there are students that are watching and they're not quite sure about if it's IO Central or other ones, but if we were to talk about skills, are there certain ones that you feel like you wish more high school players worked on or spent more time on?
Yeah, 1,000,000% passing and catching. 1,000,000% passing the ball. Like, kids will get away with, like you'll see scrum halves like turn and throw to their strong side every time, whether their plays going one way or the other, they'll turn and throw to their strong side. You got to be able to be okay with making mistakes and putting in time. Like, skill acquisition doesn't happen when you show up for practice and when practice is over. skill acquisition actually happens outside of practice. And so it's going to be like up to kids, get a rugby ball. They're not that expensive, and play catch and work on your basics. And really that's the one thing that us coaches wish that kids would come in learning how to pass. Cause then, you can spend time with the structure, you can spend time on tackle technique and different things like learn the kick game, that kind of thing. Like you can spend time on like kind of higher level things if you take care of the basics when you're in high school. And so when you get to this level, we don't have to worry about whether you can pass with your left hand or not.
Yeah, I always, I think this is many moons ago. I spent a couple of years coaching at a high school. I coached high school boys, actually. It was super fun, but it was funny that I coached backs, and they always wanted to like run like crazy trick plays, right? It's like, let's run this one where it's like a double switch and the fullback comes through them, and you're like, that's awesome, let's do it. But you have to be able to hit that pass before you can do those things, right? So I think there's always and of course it's fun and those sorts of things. But I love that idea of some of these things that players can do and should be doing outside of what's happening in that 2-hour practice they get twice a week. During when the pandemic was like really, everyone was really locked in, and there's lots of questions from players about, well, what can I do? What are some things they didn't have games for, a year. There were lots of players I saw doing, really creative things of getting a ball and kind of getting some chalk and putting it on like a garage door and then just practicing, right? Like I'm going to do 20 from 10 meters out and then another from like 20, 30, and just trying to hit that target every single time. There's a player, he's not a card I've met, but he set up like, I'm sure lots of players have seen things on Instagram of like pro players doing this, but like fun trick shots, like where they're like, I'm going to set up these 5 soda bottles. I'm going to see if I can hit this one. And yeah, those are for fun, but it also actually does increase your skill. Like how accurate are you and from what distance, how quickly, and anyway, all those sorts of things I love, like the basics get skipped over,
Well, one thing that young people have now, as opposed to when I was going to school, is that they have YouTube, right? And Instagram and different avenues that they can just type something in and instantly Aaron Smith is showing you how to pass a rugby ball. Like, I don't know many people on the planet that I'd rather learn how to pass a rugby ball than Aaron Smith. And so they have that ability to reach into our social media and get a how-to video from some of the best people in the world. And, that's not that hard. You can sit and watch that video. One of the things also that I would encourage young people to do, other than just the basics, is watch rugby. Don't watch the, 5 minutes of the biggest, baddest hits or the fights or anything like. Just watch a match of rugby. Watch the position that your coach has you play. Watch what he does. Don't just watch the ball. And that's the other thing is about getting to the next level is how you watch a match. Like, are you just watching the ball, or are you watching how the tight head gets from the breakdown to his next position and where he positions himself, et cetera, that kind of thing. Like that's what I would also say is not just the basic stuff like the pass or whatever, but watch more rugby and watch matches. We got young people that come in and don't watch a lot of rugby, and we even have some young people, and I don't turn anyone away. I want to teach the game to people, but we have people come in and a couple kids will not know what the 12 jersey means, or whatever. So we start out at a very, very basic level, and so we spend that time teaching. I'm not going to deny those kids that time to teach them, but if I didn't have to do that, that would be better for their development.
I had a brief question because I know you mentioned this is right in the beginning where you said, we're kind of in the middle of nowhere. For those I've actually never been to Iowa. Although, you know what? I'll be there next weekend. I'm going to be out in Iowa for a ref course, but I'll only be there for a
Really?
day. But anyway, that's a whole other
Is that in
conversation.
Davenport? Where's that at? Where are you going?
I'll send it to you. I forget where it is specifically. Anyway, for folks that are like, oh, I've never considered Iowa, like what is the town like? How hard is it to get there? You know what I mean? Like what
Yeah.
would that look like for that family that's thinking about it from New Jersey or from California or wherever?
Super great question. We are in the middle of nowhere, and you can fly into Fort Dodge. We do have an airport that has jets that fly in. Most people will fly into Des Moines, which is about an hour and a half drive. If a young person commits to Iowa Central, they're like, I'm coming there, we report on August 12th. We check in August 12th. So they maybe come a day early and they go into their dorms, whatever, a day early. They might fly into Des Moines. I'll pick them up, or a coach will. We have vans and our own fleet of vehicles here at Iowa Central where we're able to go get them, and we'll drive them back and forth to the airport, et cetera. But yeah, we're kind of in the middle of nowhere. The town itself is 25,000 people. So it's not a big town. It's for Iowa standards, it's about medium to a little bit bigger. But I tell kids, like, listen, so we don't have like big nightlife, no discotheques or anything like that, or we're not next to a mountain or a beach or anything. And quite frankly, in the wintertime, it's pretty brutal for about 2 or 3 months. But the thing about that is, I don't apologize for who we are in that regard. We are who we are. We can't change that. We do play some pretty good footy here. You are able to focus on your academics and rugby. It is a dry campus. But off the record, I know kids find things to do or whatever. So, I just want to make sure that people understand that that's kind of what they're looking at. I don't apologize for who I am as a person. I'm certainly not going to do that for what we are as a school. But we have a really amazing activities program. So there are things to do. The activities program does provide many opportunities. They bring in guest speakers. They play bingo night. They have karaoke night that, if you follow us on social media at all, we had, there you go. So we had karaoke night where we had a bunch of the rugby guys got up and we sang, and guys kind of made fun of me for singing and that kind of thing. So, we find different things to do, and the campus life is pretty good. But like I said, I've had kids go to Lindenwood and different places, and they were like, they come back to me and they'll say, Coach, like, I was never in better shape and I was never more focused on my academics, because that's kind of what we're about. We're not about the distractions and things like that. So, if you want to get out of practice and then go skiing, it's probably, not the best place for you to be. If that's something you want, then you might want to go somewhere else.
Are there any last or final thoughts we may not have covered that you really want to make sure either parents, students, high school coaches know about you, the program, anything like that?
I would say that we definitely want to throw the costs out there. Okay. So, for a young person, before any FAFSA, federal aid, any scholarship, we do offer some scholarship money. It's not a lot, but our prices you're going to see are really low. Our in-state tuition with 14, and I kind of rounded this up, right? So I took,
screen there too.
Yep. And so that might not be completely updated. It might be just a little bit more than that right now. It's like 62.40 I think. So it's
And I
maybe
think
just a couple hundred.
that they can calculate too. There's a good
Sure.
calculator here, but
Yep.
yeah.
So really just real quick, our in-state tuition is 14,800, and that's with $1,400 in books, fees, and supplies for the year average. And that could fluctuate. That's with $1,400 in books. And I have some young guys that are like, my books were like $200 a semester. So that could be even like more closer to around 13,500. So anywhere between 13,500 and 14,800 in state. And then out of state would be right around 17,500, kind of all in. But here's the cool thing. So our board of directors just passed a decree that not just our bordering states, but anywhere in the country, if you have a 3.0, you get in-state tuition. So you save about $2,000 or $3,000 getting that in-state tuition with a 3.0. And so, that's massive savings on already a low cost with a great return on a good start to your education, and also the rugby aspect of what we do.
I'm so glad you put, so on average, an in-state public university is around 20 to 25,000 a year, and each year it's been going up slightly. So that's one thing to keep in mind. Also, most club programs, which is 90% of the programs that are here in the US, a lot of them are still going to be dues driven. So you might, paying to go to school and then to continue to play rugby, you are going to see that a lot of teams still have to fundraise quite a bit. They have to, pay dues for their kit every year, or for travel, or you see lots of GoFundMe's, we're going to go make the playoffs, which is awesome. But now we have to raise the money to get the bus, or to, get those plane tickets and things like that. So it is nice to be at a program where that's kind of like, this is it. Like once you kind of know you're not nickel and dime the whole time, like, oh wait, hang on a second, we gotta, play this one game, but actually we all have to split the cost of running these 15 passenger vans, and then you got a student driving in the front, and stuff like that. So thank you so much for bringing up the cost. I do want to make sure to take a moment and just see if any of the folks that are on, if you have any questions before we wrap it up.
I just wanted to add like one other thing about like our level of play and who we play. So we carry an A side and a B side, so like a full A side, full B side. We played about 20 matches between our A side and B side last year. We went out to Army and played the Army seconds. We played Arkansas State at home and Davenport at home. We also played Lindenwood at Lindenwood. So, we'll punch up. It's looking like there is some things in the works about a new conference. That's really all I can say about that right now for us. But expect that news to drop pretty soon, which is pretty exciting for us. We've been playing an independent schedule, so we will be looking at joining a new conference here starting up soon. So
Great.
That's pretty exciting. But yeah, so our schedule, we're gonna schedule some of the best teams in the country and play above maybe our level, but we're hoping that that's not something that we have to add at the end of that sentence, is that it's our level too.
Yeah,
that's why I'm out recruiting.
I know. Well, so I wanted to share too, I tell a lot of students too, when they're just looking at certain teams, the other great thing about, you all have the internet, which we didn't have when I was playing in college, and all these games are online. So I just looked up YouTube, Iowa Central Rugby, and you can get a sense of like what the level these games are playing, or what these players are doing and things like that. And then what I ask a lot of students to do is you can go ahead and watch, say this one, right? Tritons versus Davenport. And then you can go ahead and look up the other local team you're interested in, and just kind of get a sense. People ask me all the time, they're like, how can you, a lot of times high school families are asking, we're looking at this particular school. What do you think about the rugby program there? And I don't know every single rugby program, but if you were to say, take a look at this college in, wherever, I might just Google it and I'll take a look. And in the first, from the kickoff, is this a 10 out of 10 program?
Yeah.
Is this a 5 out of 10? Does it look like my local high school game? That will give you a sense of, as a player, are you thinking, I 100%, like I'd be the best player on this team. I would fit right in. I would be challenged. Like you can kind of get a sense of where you would fit in as a player. So I really recommend not only obviously watching, like Coach Nelson was saying, for your own development, but as you're searching out programs, get a sense of what those games are. If you're able to see them live, even better, right? If you're able to, attend a campus, those sorts of things. So it doesn't look like we have any questions coming in. So, I think with that, what I'm going to do is I will thank Coach Nelson so much for your time, and for all those who attended and are watching this. I will include all of your information in the follow-up, and then we'll make sure that this is available online. And I hope you all get in touch with Coach Nelson soon and go on to your next steps of playing college rugby.